Hello, this is Dr. Valerie Bennett, and I am the Ministry Coordinator for Robotics as part of the Scholastic Motivations Ministries. So, today we will talk about how to program your EV3 robot, and we will be taking information and using all the resources from the EV3 Teacher Edition of the Lego Mindstorms software. So, let's get started. So in our previous videos, we talked about how to download this software, also including the Space Challenges packet. And then we talked about how to actually build your robot, how to organize your kit, and now we're going to focus on programming. So we will start with the Start Here button. We talked about this a little bit in our previous videos, but I wanted to get into some of the features, some of the resources that it has for showing you how to program. So I'm going to click on the Start Here, and we looked at in previous videos about prepare. We said something very quickly about the try link here, but I want to go ahead and open that up and show you how to get started. So it says try is a quick introduction to programming. So let's click on that. And once you do that, we're going to click over to the open. Now, for this part of the programming, you actually don't necessarily have to have your base driving base robot built. You can just simply use your brick, which is the brain of the robot, and then your connecting cables and some of the sensors and motors that you will be attaching to it. So this part can be done with or without your base robot being fully built. Okay, so let's go ahead and try it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the next step. Okay, so it says we're going to power on your robot. So go ahead and press that middle button. Hopefully you've already charged up your battery there. And this is very important. Now it shows you how can I make my brick, the brain of the robot, talk to the computer. So you'll go ahead and take your connecting cable, and it should be a USB cable already in your kit, and find the place on your brick where it has PC. So connect that end, and then put the USB connected to your computer. So you connect it just as it says. All right. All right. Now, at the bottom right of your computer, you will see, now I don't have mine connected, but you will see where it actually has connected with your brick, and certain things will come on. All right. So mine is not connected. It says no brick connected, but you will see the name of your EV3 brick come up. So if you have changed the name of your brick, that particular name will come up here. Or if you just kept it as the default, it will just say EV3. All right. So we will create and run our very first program. So it says I'm going to create the program as shown by dragging the display block and the sound block from the programming palette onto the canvas. So at the bottom, this is the palette. Everything at the bottom of your screen, that's the palette, things that you can select just like you're painting a picture. So there are different palettes. The different colors have different meanings. But we're going to just stick with the action or motion part of the palette. And then this blank area here, this is your canvas. So you're going to place the different blocks onto the canvas. Now this screen here where it has the create and run your first program, this is just information. This is not an active part of your program. So this is just guiding you, and you can still place things over onto your canvas into this open area. Okay. All right. So we're going to do that. So let's see if we can recreate this. So we're going to bring up, this is what's called the display block, and it's going to be down here Okay. One thing, if you're not sure, how to find things or what it's called, if you hover your mouse over the particular parts of the palette here, all of the different blocks under the green action, green means go. So you can see exactly what it is. So if I start over here, I have the medium motor, I have the large motor, I have steering. This will allow you to move both B and C. The motors are on B and C, so you can move those at the same time. You can move it in tank drive mode. We'll talk about that perhaps a little bit later. And then the display, which means it's going to show something or show some information on your actual brick itself, on the screen of your brick. The sound, as well as the brick status light. Okay, so we're going to, it says drag the display block. So I'm just going to click on this and drag it onto my canvas. Now, as you see, it kind of turned grayed out. Okay, it's not the full color as if it were back down here. So you must connect it to the start connectivity there. And so now is an active part of a program. So you're actually coding and programming right now. Everything is icon based. We're not going to see the actual HTML code that's behind this, but here is how we're actually programming or coding our robot. Okay, so it's drag and drop. Very fantastic. All right, now we're going to drag, it says drag a sound block. So my sound block is here. It has that speaker on there. And again, if I do not connect it, it's going to be grayed out and it's not an active part of the program. So I must make sure I connect it here. Even if it's close, it'll connect there. And I've created a program. Okay. I haven't changed any of the information here under a particular image that I want the display to show, or if I want to basically say display it yes or not. So it's always kind of going to be defaulted to true. And then these are the X and Y coordinates of where I want the actual image to be shown. Would it be more to the left or to the right, or just in the middle? Let's see if I can get it back to the middle, or further up and down on the actual display of the brick. So again, it's defaulted to 0. And then now let's look at the sound file. Okay, so you're basically going to create what's over on the instructions exactly as it's shown. You'll be able to, of course, play with this as you're getting more comfortable. But as we're learning how to program, I suggest, we just use the same information that's given in the tutorials. Okay, so here we have our first program. It's basically going to show something on the display screen of our brick and make a sound. And then this is like the volume. Okay, the maximum sound is 100, right? So I just have all of that maxed out. And now, how do I put this on my actual brick? Well, since we already have our connective cable to our brick, we're just going to press the download button. And where's that download button? It will be this arrow here. You see what they have, that red arrow there? It's not going to be red, but it'll be an active button. So we will click that. It will download. We'll hear a sound. And then we will play. How do we run that? How do we run that? That is that red button there. Okay, so the download will be this little dotted dashed line, dashed arrow. We will download it. And then the next button underneath that is how we would run the program. So we should hear something as we download it. And then we're done with our first program, right? That's very exciting. Good job, good job. And then you'll basically see the face, that's kind of the default display, and you will hear the sound, hello. because that's the name of the file, the default file for your sound file. Isn't that great? So that's our first program. Okay. So we are ready for our next program, connecting a large motor. All right. So let's do that. We're going to connect a motor. And what we can do, what do we do with the previous program? Well, we have a choice. We can either drag it and pull it down back to the palette, or we can actually click on it and just press the delete button. Okay, once it's highlighted, you see it's highlighted in blue there, and we can delete it and we're done. Or at the top here, see those plus signs? We can add a project. We can add a brand new project, and then we can program it there. Okay, so to make it easy, we can just delete those two and start with the next program. So we're going to create our next one. We're going to create and run this program with the large motor. Okay, so let's see which one looks like that here. Okay, which is the large motor here. We're going to drag that there and connect it. And let's see, do we have everything defaulted here? Okay, you will definitely learn what all of these programming components mean. But if you hover over it, it'll tell you what it does. So this tells you the number of rotations. It'll just kind of continue rotating because it'll just keep going. This will be the power. Okay, and then here's the number. See, it's connected here. How many rotations? 1. And we can, of course, change that. I'm just typing in some numbers here, so you'll see how it changes. Okay, but I'm just going to keep it as 1. All right, and then this will tell the next action. What you want to do afterwards? You want it to break at the end, and that's true. Do we want to break at the end? Yes. So it is true. It is checked there. That can be either break or coast, or just move a little bit more and then stop. Okay, or you want it to just completely break. Okay, so that's what those icons mean for your motors. Okay, and steering motors will look very similar. Okay, and then the letter D, what does that mean? That is the port that you will plug your large motor in onto your brick. All of the motors will be letter ports, and all of the sensors will be number ports. Okay, all right. So we have our large motor programmed, and we should already have our brick plugged in to our computer. And guess what we're going to do? Download and then click run, and we should hear our motor running. That should be very exciting. Okay, so that's our next program. Good job on that. So did it rotate? It should have moved for you. So make sure, again, it's plugged into the to the correct port, port D. All right, connecting a touch sensor. So let's do our next program. We are on a roll here. Hopefully you are finding success with these as we move on. If you have any questions, make sure you post those, and we'll do our best to get to those as soon as possible. Connecting a touch sensor. So these go along just like the previous programs. We're going to connect our touch sensor. Well, we already have our motor in port D, and now we want to connect a sensor into port 1, the touch sensor. And let's see how we can have these two things kind of work together. This is a great learning program here. All right, so we're going to grab the sensor. It should look like that, and make sure again we put that in port 1. Okay, very important. So we're going to just modify this program. We're going to add a weight programming block to our previous program with the large motor just moving 1 rotation. So where do we find that? Okay, so it is orange. So let's click on orange here. So we're not in the action part of the palette. We are in the flow control. Okay, so let's just drag this weight block. Okay, now I haven't connected it as you see, but our example says it's in between our start button and the motor. So how do we do that? Do we delete this green one? What do we do? Well, we just push it up in there. You see how the other block just moves and it's kind of a gray area ready to receive our weight block. So that's how you just drag that in there. And so we've modified our program. Isn't that awesome? So let's see, what do we need to change here? The purpose of this program is to basically have the motor move when I touch it, when I push on or compress down the touch sensor. All right, so let's see how we can do that. It seems kind of odd, but it's basically saying wait until I press it to move versus just moving as soon as I, download and press the run button. All right, so that's the point of this one, to show how the touch sensor controls the motor. Okay, all right, so how do we do this? Well, let's see. The first thing we need to do is make this touch sensor do a comparison. So let's go over here. So instead of it waiting a second, I'm going to click on that and I'm going to scroll down to touch sensor. And I want it to compare the state or the status of the compression or the touch sensor. So let's go ahead and do that. So what is it going to do? Well, it's basically going to compare the compression of the touch sensor. And once that is done, then it will move the motor for one rotation. So that's what that program means. All right, so let's download and run that program. So again, your brick should be connected and we can download that program and let it run. Did your program work? All right, so what is it supposed to do? So once you make sure that the motor is connected, when you press down the sensor, it should rotate after I press the touch sensor, not just as soon as the program is downloaded. So it's comparing what the touch sensor is doing and making sure that that is true to make the motor run. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so very cool program. Very, very good job. Okay, all right, so let's go to our next one. The color sensor. I really love this one because it's like, wow, it can detect color and then make the motor move. So it's kind of a similar thing. So we're just going to change it. Can you guess what we will do here? We will keep our same flow control there, but instead of the touch sensor, we're going to make it compare something going on with the color sensor. So that means we got to pick a color for it to, make sure it looks for before it has a certain action. So let's pick a color. It says here, let's pick the color green. So 5 basically is red. So let's click green. Okay. Hopefully you have something red or green or yellow around, but I'm just going to follow the thing there. And it says for green. So it's going to look for green. Once it sees green, it's going to move the motor one rotation. So what do I need to change here? Instead of port 3, I need to have port 4 because that is a color sensor. That is the color sensor port, right? All right, so let's see. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to download and then press play. And of course, we need to put something green in front of the color sensor. You see, it's not the touch sensor anymore. It's that color sensor. I'm going to put that in port 4. They're putting something green in front of it. Okay, it can be any one of the Lego bricks there, the Lego parts there. Put it in front of it, and then it should move. If it's not green, the motor should not move at all. So make sure you test that, and you have had a great sense for what all of the, at least initial, parts of the palette can do for you, okay? So that's 15 out of 15. So hopefully you've had fun doing those first programs for your brick on your EV3. Great job. All right. Our next video will go into a little bit more detail and show you some of the other great tutorials that are here for you in the EV3 Teacher Edition.